It's been a while. I have done the podcast since Iowa. I got caught up with I moved back from Ohio to Nashville, and then I got caught up with school stuff because I moved back early, but I still had some school stuff I had to take care of. Got that taken care of, and I just felt after missing 2 weeks, I felt it to be appropriate to return the podcast after our all-star, so to say, break with the South Boston Showdown. So we've finished Kansas, and we're moving on to Pocono this weekend. A few changes. The first one being Levi. It'll be more detailed later, but pretty much Levi Zilenski, my colleague Rowdy, will be stepping down, and he is being replaced with my broadcast colleague, who I've done a few races with, Justin Kolb. Say hello to everybody, Justin.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
Sounds great. So, like I said, we'll get in that more. We'll get into that more later in the roundtable discussion if you want to hear about that. On the show today, we have Cameron Rich. I would be saying Cameron Rich once again, but like I said, I've missed the past. I did Iowa, so I missed Bristol, Auto Club, Charlotte, and I wasn't planning on doing a podcast with an All-Star race. Anyways, but Cameron Rich wins again. He won Kansas. Paul Ross finally didn't get wrecked, and when he doesn't get wrecked, he wins. He won Kansas as well in the Nathan Young Design Beat Car Series. We're going to talk about who's hot and who's cold after Kansas, our Pocono predictions, and races from the chase now. The picture's getting to be a little bit more clear. A lot more to discuss later on. Of course, now I have my new colleague, Justin Kolb. As you can see, we have the old graphic. I apologize for that. We have Nathan Young, the sponsor of the B Car Series. He's working on a new one. I think it's appropriate to leave it up for one more week. Give one more shout out to my colleague, Levi Zilenski. I had a lot of fun with him, but like I said, just personal and professional time constraints wasn't really working out whenever we were doing the podcast, which, of course, is no problem at all. He'll still most likely be a special guest whenever he can be. So, with that being said, Justin, you have anything to say?
Not much. Just thanks for taking me on here, and we have a lot of fun in the booth, so I hope to have a lot of fun here.
Yes, sir. I think it'll be just the same. So, we're going to move on to the interview with Cameron and Paul, and then after that, the roundtable discussion with my colleague Justin Kolb and our winners Cameron Rich and Paul Ross. And to cap everything off, we'll have the lap at Pocono, which will be utterly useless because I am terrible at Pocono. So, on to our interview with Paul, and then later on Cameron and the roundtable discussion.
All right, Paul. Well, congratulations on the win this week. That's the second race you've won in a row. What was the key to winning that race?
I'd have to say pit strategy. I was trying to pit 1 to 2 laps before everybody else, and by doing that with the tire fall off, I was able to pull out, about a 3-4 second lead. And I was running the bottom of the track all night, which burns the tires off a little bit more. So by the end of the run, the guys that were running up top had better tires and they'd catch me, but I'd short pit again, pull back out to a little bit of a lead, and just did that pretty much the whole night and ended up pulling it out.
So with the win under your belt this week, what are your expectations for next week?
Next week at Pocono, I'm really hoping I'd be ecstatic for a top 5, hoping for a top 10 just for the points. With 3 guys outside of the top 12 with wins, it's you pretty much got to be at least 9th place. You can't count Nick Miller out at Darlington, so really you need to be top 8 in points. So for the rest of the season, just going to be trying to points race my way into the chase, and again, top 5 I'd be real happy with. Top 10, I'll take the points and move on.
And it's a couple weeks away on June 19th, but Road America will be the next B-Car race. I know you're going to be a full-time B-Car racer. What are your expectations for that race? It'll be the first road course race this season.
Last season, I believe I got 6th place. Would like to improve that, top 5, top 4. Doubt I'll make it into the top 3. Don't have a whole lot of road racing experience on iRacing, but again, as long as I can gap the 12th place guy in points, I'll take the points and move on to a track I'm familiar with.
All right, and then you worked hard for this win, so anyone you want to thank?
Got to thank all my teammates. Every week we're helping each other out with pit strategies, fuel calculations. If somebody wrecks out, which has been me a lot this season, I'll stick around, spot for the other guys. It's a huge team effort. Hopefully hopefully we can get Sam winning again, and hopefully we can keep Corey and Nick in the top 10, and hopefully I can make it.
All right, Paul. Well, congrats for the win this week, and hope you can finish the next race here at Pocono.
Alrighty, thanks, me too.
So after Kansas, Cameron has won yet again, 4 out of the last 5, and the only one he did not win was lost to his teammate Richard Garcia at Auto Club. So it's pretty fair to say that you guys are on fire. I do know, Tanner led most of the laps at Kansas, but of course you finished it off. How'd your race go? Did you spend a lot of time behind Tanner but couldn't quite get the pass? We all knew how Kansas was. How'd your race go? I got taken out early, so unfortunately I really didn't get to see much of it.
I'm not gonna lie, most of my race went pretty bad. I got stuck behind Carlos there for a little while. He was doing everything he needed to do, but unfortunately it was causing me to get all mad at myself, and I ended up making a bunch of mistakes and running the wall a couple times, and I went back at like 10th place near the end, and really I still don't know how the hell I won that race. I don't know how I got up there, so it's really after it's all said and done, it's really like a race I had no business winning.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but you won it, so I feel like if you win a race, you won it. I really don't think anybody can say, oh, well, he did it this way or did it that way or this happened. I feel like if you were in first place whenever the race ended, you deserve the win. So, I don't really feel like I need to give you advice or ask what are you going to do, but at Pocono next week, I know we've talked about it. How do you plan on performing at Pocono next week? How's your team doing there? How's everything looking as we head towards Pocono?
I think I'm gonna be pretty good. Pocono is one of my better tracks. I'm good at it kind of drives like a road course with only left turns, so I'm excited for that. And I'm looking for my teammate Drew Eisenman to actually win there because he really needs to win, and he's usually pretty good there. So, of course, if I can't win, I hope my teammate can get a win and get himself in the chase.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I remember I talked to Drew Eisman real early in the season when he won at Montreal, and I got the impression he'd probably have a win by now. I know it's kind of hard to win when his teammates taking him all, but hey, he's sitting 7th in points, which all things considered, he's in the chase as we stand, and of course only 8 races to go until the chase. So I'd say as long as he keep up his consistency and where he's at, I think he'll be just fine. So of course, I've missed a couple weeks, but for anybody who doesn't know, when was the last time I interviewed you? What race had you just won?
I believe probably Iowa.
Yeah, it was Iowa. So I missed Bristol, Auto Club, Charlotte, and of course the All-Star race, South Boston Showdown. For anybody who doesn't know, at Bristol, Cameron won. Auto Club, Richard won, his teammate. Charlotte, Cameron won. He won the South Boston Showdown, and he's won Kansas. So I really don't have to bring anybody else in. I could interview Richard, but I'm just going to kind of skip all of that. Like I said, sorry about that. I had school to do. But Cameron, you've won plenty of airtime. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out? Anything you'd like to talk about? Anything of that nature? Like I said, you won. You get the airtime. It's all you. Go ahead.
Well, I'll give a shout out to my teammate Richard because he did win, and good job for him, especially at his home track. So it's always good, and I'm having a blast in this league every weekend, week out. It's just fun, especially on Mondays because Mondays suck anyway. So have something exciting to look forward to. I hope we can get the next couple of races off strong and have good racing leading up to the chase and see how it all unfolds from there. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how the Tanner and Sam and everyone else does the next couple races. Like you said, I hope that everybody steps up their competition going into the chase and we can have like a really awesome epic battle.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? You might just sweep us. We'll see. I just do want to thank you, Cameron, for coming on the podcast. I'm sure there's a good chance we'll hear from you next week after Pocono. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's 5:42 in the morning right now, June 1st. We did the interviews and all the recordings last night, Tuesday, as we always do the day after the race. I got up real early this morning. I always get up early to edit, but I got up super early this morning, or I stay up late to edit, or I get up. It just depends on what my work week is like. But I got up real early this morning, earlier than usual, so I could go and practice Pocono. And I'm just going to be straight with you. I'm terrible, and I just find it better to just not have the lap at Pocono this week, rather than throwing a lap where I don't know what I'm doing, and then like misguide a whole bunch of people. I don't want to do that. So this week there will be no lap around the track. This track being Pocono, because I'm just terrible here. I've voiced that to my fellow racers, friends. So and I also like to apologize if you notice some of my audio kind of has a slight whine in the back, kind of like a higher pitched noise, a lot of static. I've been trying out not necessarily a new mic, but just a new way of using my mic, and it's terrible. Quite frankly, it's terrible, and unfortunately, I should have tested it and listened back to how it sounded, and I didn't before I did on the interviews, which is on me, and I apologize for that. Um, you know, I completely understand if you choose to skip over this week's podcast just because of the audio, and I really hate for that, especially being the return one. But as you can see now, it's been corrected. None of that now. So next podcast, of course, we're going to be doing the lap, and now with Justin joining me, where he's actually able to race and get on track. If I'm not good at a track, like Milwaukee's a real good example, and let's say he is, I'll have him doing the lap at Milwaukee. And we're just going to move on to the roundtable discussion to close everything out. I hope you have enjoyed the podcast. If the noise hasn't bothered you too much, and like I said, it's been corrected as you can hear now. And thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, sorry for the long wait. I just kind of got caught up with school, which of course is important. I've got it all wrapped up now. I have a job interview Thursday, but I don't think that'll interfere too much with the podcast. I really do enjoy doing this. Like I said, I just got sidetracked. So yeah, we're going to move on to the roundtable discussion with our winners, Cameron Rich and Paul Ross, and my new podcast colleague, Justin Kolb. Hope you enjoyed the rest of it. Thank you. After Kansas, Cameron Rich has now won 4 out of the last 5 races, and after missing the first 2, sits 11 points behind first place Tanner Sharp. Cameron, what the hell? Alright, great talking to you. Cameron, you got us?
Take a poop
Yeah,
break?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
You're fine. So, I mean, what's the deal? I mean, ever since I won Las Vegas, and then you've won 4 out of 5, the other one that you didn't win was Auto Club, and that was your teammate, Richard Garcia. What's going on over there? Why y'all cheating? Let's hear it. Go ahead. Spill the beans, cheater.
Well, I'm sure you guys know that the new Aero package has a tapered spacer on it, and we kind of mess with it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Just we're all comfortable with these cars, I guess. That's really all I can say.
I feel you. It's been pretty impressive. You know, whenever you first got, it seemed like, Sam was a very close second. We haven't heard much from Sam. I'm thinking it's really hard to hear from anybody, like I said, when Cameron Rich is just winning everything, and it's really impressive. But we move on to Pocono next week. That's always a wild card. It's not, because, the last 5 have been Kansas, Charlotte, Auto Club, Bristol, and Iowa. And, of course, Iowa, Bristol, and Auto Club are, completely different races and all can be considered wild cards. Pocono is a wild card itself. And, it's one of a kind. It's not like any other track. How do you plan to perform this weekend, Paul?
Hopefully pretty well. Honestly, shooting for not wrecking again, and shooting for maybe a top 10. It's track I have 0 laps at, so just gonna take it easy and kind of hope and shoot for everybody in front of me, either making a mistake or wrecking and avoiding all the wrecks.
That sounds pretty good. Yeah, I don't plan to do anything special at Pocono. I'm pretty terrible there. Like I said earlier, I feel like Corey got together with me and said, Rayce, tell me all the tracks you're terrible at, and we're going to go to those. And I feel like ever since Bristol and Auto Club, I've liked Bristol and Auto Club, but Charlotte, Kansas, Pocono, Milwaukee, Darlington, I'm just absolutely terrible. And what about you, Cameron? How are you at Pocono? It's like I said, a very unique track, so don't really know how anybody's going to perform there. How do you plan to perform this weekend at Pocono?
I hope I'm good. I've been pretty good there in NIS and the A-Fix races I've ran there.
And then lastly, on to you, Justin. You didn't get to run Kansas, unfortunately, but you don't sit too far back in points. You're not out of this yet, but of course, it's about time. You're going to start getting a little more aggressive. You don't need to win at this point yet, but you're going to have to start producing some points. Do you plan on attacking Pocono differently now with the chase, 8 races away? Do you plan on performing differently or what?
Well, I'd like to say I'd attack it aggressively, but as with Paul, I have 0 laps there, so it's going to be kind of interesting going into this weekend learning the track and seeing what I can do. Don't imagine I can get too much done on the track, but I'll try and salvage a top 5, and we'll see what we can get. Obviously, we can't win with the 17 in the field, but
yeah, now I think a second place at this point's a win. So
yeah.
Hey, shoot for a second. It'll be a moral win from everybody.
Yeah, they can already put the name on that trophy at the end of the year.
And on to the B car series. Paul Ross finally doesn't wreck and comes home with the win at Kansas the night before Sunday, May 29th. What brought you that win there, Paul? Are you running the B car series full time?
Yeah, planning on running it full time as long as work permits. As far as the race, I think we led just over half the laps and ran it a lot like I do Chicagoland. Tried short pitting on everybody else by a lap or two and got a lead and kept it pretty much the rest of the race, besides during pit stops and that kind of stuff.
And of course, now you're 4th in the points in the B car series, but of course you're 68 points behind because Sam Close won like 4 races in a row at one point, so got him a really nice lead. But thankfully for everybody who's far behind Sam, there is a chase system in place in the Nathan Young design B car series. So really, at this point, points don't matter. It's just where you sit, and you sit 4th with the win, which is a bonus point, which always a great place to sit. And next week at Road America, anybody in the B car? Is anybody planning to run the B car at Road America next week?
Yeah, I plan on it. Last year was my first time at the track. I think I got 5th or 6th, so hoping to improve on that a little bit and just try to gap. I think it's the top 12, make it into the chase. So just going to try to gap that 12th place in points as far as I can before the bad luck and the wrecks start happening again.
Yeah, I feel it's kind of keep this good luck string going. I think I might actually, I've said this I think once or twice before, but I think I might actually, I know I ran Daytona in the Nathan Young Design Series, but I think I'm going to run Road America. That's a track I really enjoy. I love road racing in the stock cars. Now, before we really get into anything else, as you guys noticed, Levi, my colleague Rowdy Levi Zilenski, hasn't been around. Just with work and his personal time constraints, he doesn't really have the time to do so, which is unfortunate, but, this is something that, is set up in a way to have 2 people. And to anybody who doesn't know, me and Justin Kolb, who's been a guest a lot recently, me and him do a broadcast together. We've broadcasted the South Boston Showdown for the 3-Rod Racing League, a few of the Nathan Young Design Series races, and plan to do many more. So Justin Kolb will actually be stepping in and replacing Levi Zilenski going forward. I'm sure we'll have Levi in as a guest as much as possible, but just right now, Levi just isn't able to make much of a commitment to it, which is fine. I'm not upset about it. It's at the end of the day, this is based around just a hobby and extracurricular activity, so it's 100% okay. But welcome Justin Kolb officially as my colleague.
Thank you. It's good doing work up in the booth, and it'll be fun doing it behind the scenes as well. Should be fun.
Yes, sir. So now I know we discussed Pocono, but let's talk about our predictions. We've talked about how we're going to do personally, but Justin, who do you actually see winning that race?
Well, he's probably going to go 3 in a row, so Cam and Rich, he's probably going to win. I'll just take the obvious out of it.
No doubt. And then what about you, Paul? Do you agree with Justin? Do you think Cam and Rich is going to take 5 or 6 or what?
I have to agree with Justin on it. Only bad thing is I don't think anybody's won 3 races in a row in the series in quite a while, so maybe bad luck. Hope not for him, but I see Cameron as well.
Yes, sir. I definitely agree. I mean, we saw Tanner finally show a little bit of strength there. I mean, Cameron only led the last 8, but he was up there in contention for it the whole race. As far as Pocono goes, I mean, there is no other track like it. I mean, all 3 turns are different. It's a weird track. It's a very weird track. So, with the pretense of not knowing who's going to win, it's pretty much a safe bet to say Cameron's going to win it. I hope to do good there. Hopefully, I don't get wrecked. That's been a lot of fun, but we shall see. Now, the season's been flying by awfully quick. We're only 8 races away from the chase. So now with, being 8 races away from our chase in the Chesapeake Cup Diecast Series, I mean, the chase picture's looking pretty clear now. I think Cameron Rich is pretty much guaranteed. I think as long as Tanner Sharp keeps up his consistency, I mean, he's led the whole season. Of course, Cameron is closing in on that. Cameron, the reason he doesn't hold the points now is, he missed the first 2 races. I think, Tanner, Cameron, and of course anybody who's won, so like myself, Cameron, Sam are all locks. I mean, is there anybody, I guess besides these guys who are already in guaranteed, is there anybody you see making the chase? I look more towards, towards the like cutoff. Are we doing 16 or 12 since it's
I believe it's 12.
Yeah, I think you're right. So when I'm looking at who's going to make it, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not sure, maybe Corey will just drop out of 5th. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm looking more around the 12th, 13th, and 14th place spots. And in 12th, I see Richard Lafferty, but behind him is me, so I'm going to automatically push Richard out. So I'd see, Richard Lafferty is someone who has speed week to week, but sometimes gets himself involved in some trouble. Donald Bell's right there. He's been a very big surprise for everybody this season. I mean, is there anybody you guys could see barely making the chase or potentially not making the chase? What about you, Justin?
Well, one person now looking at the list that surprises me is Chad Brown sitting in 10th. Obviously, when all settles out, he may get forced out, but personally, I haven't really seen him performing on the track, but yet he's sitting there in 10th, so he may be a little surprise in the chase.
Yes, sir. And anybody for you, Paul? Anybody you see just making it or just not making it?
I don't know, if you look at the points and you go from just say 6th place down to 12th, there's not a huge gap there. And right now there's 3 guys with wins outside the top 12. So that's pretty much, you're going to have to be in 9th place as of right now to make the chase. Like you said, I see Tanner, Cam, Sam, all those guys making it. I think Corey's got enough of a buffer. But pretty much from 6th to 9th place, they're really going to have to be on their game because it's not going to take much to fall out of the top 9.
Yeah, I mean, after you get past Tanner, Cameron, and Sam, the points get real close, so no one is comfortable yet. Now, of course, being in 4th, Skyler, who's been somebody who's been very quiet but very consistent, sitting 4th in the points, as long as he keeps it up, he'll be fine. But Justin brought up Chad Brown, as he sits in the top 10, he did drop 2 spots right this week, so that could change at any time. And like you said, there are people sitting outside of the top 12 with wins, so right there that pretty much cuts down to who you're looking at points wise to 9th place. So what about you, Cameron? Is there anybody you see barely making it or dropping out before the chase starts 8 races away?
Well, I can tell that Richard Lafferty, he's right there on the cusp of, I think he's in it right now, or not in it yet, but he's fast week in and week out, so as long as he can keep the car in one piece. And another I'm looking at week in and week out, who's 15th right now in points, is Austin Nielsen. He just started iRacing about January or so, and he's not very experienced, and he's getting. If he can keep the car in one piece, then he should be able to. I think he's going to start getting better finishes and make his way up the point standings.
Oh yeah, I definitely can't disagree with any of that. Did Cameron cut out for you guys, or was it just me?
Yeah,
technical difficulties.
Okay, no big deal. I'm just going to re-ask you the question, okay, Cameron?
Yeah, I think my keyboard's dying, so
Okay,
my bad.
You're fine. If you want to put yourself on voice activation real quick, you can.
Yeah,
Alright, just let me know you're good.
I'm good.
Okay. So, and then what about you, Richard? Not Richard, what the fuck? I was looking at Richard Lafferty's name. So, what about you, Cameron? With the chase being just 8 races away, I mean, is there anybody you see, making it last second or potentially dropping out and missing the chase?
Right on the cusp of making it right now is Richard Lafferty. I know he's fast week in and week out. You just need to keep the car in one piece, and he should be good. And another driver I've been looking at week in and week out who just started iRacing in about January or around that time. 15th in points right now. Austin Nielsen. He's really inexperienced in the Cup car and iRacing in general, and I can tell he's getting better and better every week. If he can just keep the wheels on it and keep the car in one piece, he should be starting to click off better finishes and make his way up the standings. But I think for the most part, the top, I want to say the top 10 or so is probably going to be more or less most of the drivers in the chase, plus people with wins.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can't deny that. But like for me personally, like I said, Richard Lafferty he's sitting 12th in points. But myself, Richard Garcia, I think me and him are the only two sitting outside of the actual chase cutoff with wins.
Matt Hackathorn.
Well. You're right. So Hackathorn, myself, and Richard Garcia. That's 3 people. So pretty much you cut off 12th, 11th, and 10th. So it's like at that point, with the other winners, being 2nd in points and 3rd in points, you got to pretty much, you're not really shooting for 12th at this point. If you're looking at points, you got to be really shooting for 9th place. So, I know Nick has had a string of bad luck. He's got it in him, but like I said, it's just sometimes you can't get away from all the bad luck, and he's right there on that 9th place cutoff. So hopefully he'll. I just need a little more consistency, and it's not really his fault. He's not really looking for consistency. It's just luck, honestly. But I think it's gonna be really interesting. I kind of like me personally, I like the winning you're in just for the chase implications of it. Because you say, well, I'm 12th in points, but I mean that doesn't really mean anything because all of a sudden, you're gonna be shuffled out. So I mean, as we get closer to that, we'll talk about that more and more. So I mean, on to you guys. Is there really anything else we'd like to discuss? I know. Coming out of Kansas, I got wrecked and I kind of stormed out. So I guess we can move on to you, Justin, out of Kansas. I know you got to miss it. I know you caught some of the last of the live stream. Is there anybody you could say is hot and who's cold leaving Kansas and heading into Pocono?
Well, again, I'm going to go with the obvious. Cameron Rich is obviously on a roll. I'm sure he's going to be just as strong as ever going into Pocono. One guy, because like I said, I didn't catch much, but I haven't seen much of recently, is Samuel Close. He was on a pretty good streak at the beginning. Won 2 races in a row at the beginning of the season, but it's kind of just fallen off just a bit now. Hasn't completely left the building yet, but he may need to pick it up here as the chase closes in.
Oh yeah, no denying that. I wouldn't, count Sam as cold, but I feel like Sam came in, he was clearly one of the top guys, and then Cameron came in and said, "No, wait a minute, I'm the top guy," and I really feel like that can really get to you when you're not winning every race. So we'll definitely see there. What about you, Paul? Heading out of Kansas and heading into Pocono, who do you say is hot and who's cold?
Just like Justin again, I'm going to have to go with Cameron. The guy's on fire, and for being cold, I'm going to have to go with Johnny Thomas Racing. Not them being cold; they've been running up front, they've been running good, leading laps, but the bad luck. I don't think they've finished very many races in the last 2 or 3 between both cars.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. And then on to you, Cameron. Coming out of Kansas and heading towards Pocono, who do you see being hot and cold?
I think Tanner's really hot. You can tell every week he's got the fire to win that race, and he's been shut out every race so far, and he's gonna win eventually. can tell that he wants it, and he's gonna do it. And shout out to Paul in here for finishing 2 in a row with a win. Finally bringing these races together. That's good to see.
Oh yeah, I mean Paul putting 2 races together. I mean that's a win in and of itself. But I'm gonna go on the opposite of you, Cameron. I think with Tanner, you know, like leading the whole race at Kansas, you know, just for you to take it. I just feel like, you know, if you talk to Tanner, it just seems like he gets real bummed out. And I think, after, you know, each upset, like, you know, he's always up top at practice, and he's always in the shuffle, top 5, and he just can't quite put together a full race. And there's no doubt that's got to get to you. So I put Tanner on my cold list. I put Nick Miller there because he's someone else who's very fast, but seems to get caught up in trouble far too often. And of course, like, you know, I can't disagree with you guys. I mean, and you have really no other choice when it comes to who's the hottest right now. It's Cameron Rich. 3 out of the last 4, looking to make it, or is it? It's 4 out of the last 5, looking to make it 5 out of the last 6. So you can't deny that at all. I mean, it's very impressive. I mean, I'm not complaining. I know some guys are happy with it, but hey, that's part of. I feel like someone being fast has really brought the competition up. I feel faster than I ever been. I think Sam's on a new level. I just think we're just a little bit behind Cameron and his guys, and I don't doubt that eventually we'll get there. So unless you guys have anything else to say, I think that's a good place to end it. I'm happy to have you guys here, and happy to have Justin moving forward with me. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and we shall see you all next week. Oh, also, sorry about the absence of the podcast. I got caught up with school and thought after I'd missed 2 weeks, it'd be better just to continue it after the All-Star break, and here we are. So thank you for sticking around, and like I said, we'll catch y'all next week.
Wondering where time ends, wondering where time goes, wondering when mine ends. Gonna ask if you could go. What's the point of team spirit if you can't hear it? Even if you got my back, what happens when I pass? You said you'd die if I died, girl, I hope you lied. They say life is